Hi, this is Melody Gray with the Houston Drama Club. This podcast is meant to help promote plays and musicals here in the Houston area. Our website is www.houstondramaclub.com, where you can find upcoming and currently playing productions. So join me while I go out into the Houston theater community to find out what's going on. Join the club and let's go see some theater. Hi everybody, this is Melody Gray, and I know I say this every time that I'm so excited to be here, but I'm so excited to be here with Dirt Dog Theater Company. So I want to introduce, first of all, Trevor Cone. You're the creative director.
Executive director.
Executive director. Thank you for that correction. Mm-hmm. And we also have Malinda Beckam, the artistic director.
Yes, ma'am.
And Curtis Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the artistic associate.
Thank you. And then the estimable Ron Jones.
Absolutely.
Incomparable.
Amazing. He's the director. But I want to start with you, Trevor, and I want to talk about Dirt Dogs Theater Company. It's a new-ish. I mean, you guys, how many seasons?
Sure, this is the opening of season 4.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me, first of all, what Dirt Dog means. I know what it means, but my listeners might not know what it means.
Sure. So I grew up in New England. I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, but New England is my home, and a combination of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And I'm a lifelong Red Sox fan. And in the early 80s, there was a writer for the Boston Globe, beat writer for the Red Sox, and he was describing the play of a middle infielder who at the top of the first inning came on with a crisp white uniform, red piping on his uniform, and by the middle of the first inning he was completely covered in dirt. And that really, just described the style of play that he was, not only willing but anxious to throw his entire body, into his work. And that, when we were starting the company and discussing what do we call this company, that really embodied the type of work and the emphasis of the work that we do in theater, that we throw ourselves completely into it. You talk about this show, we're running on fumes here. Right. We all work full time,
sure,
but yet we play, quote unquote, full time, and that the theater is as important as what we do to earn a living.
Well, they call it your survival job. Like, what are you doing to make money so that you can go do your theater?
Exactly.
Compulsion has a negative connotation to it, but really, we are compulsed to produce excellent theater, and it's what drives us. I often talk, with Malinda about how all this work is getting in the way of my art, and yet it's just the work that really supports the art that we do, but it's what we have to do.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I love theater so much, and it's such hard work for people that do it, and I want to promote it because it's worthwhile. And there's something undeniable about sitting in a dark space with a bunch of other people, watching people tell a story. It's like primal.
Yep.
And it's so important, and so I think there needs to be more people coming out and seeing it, and that's one of the reasons I also want to promote your company, because you guys really do excellent work. So let me segue to your beautiful wife, and let me ask you why you guys wanted to start your own theater company. Now I know why, or the name behind it, but why did you want to do it?
Well, actually, when we first started the theater company, I was a senior in college, having first started at age 42. And so we decided, we had this great idea, that we were also going to start a theater company, raise a family. I was going to go to college and have a full-time job. And
just a couple of things.
Just a few things.
Who needs sleep? We'll sleep when we're dead.
Yes. And through that process, we decided to produce theater on our own, mainly so that we could tackle the plays and the subject matter that we felt we wanted to embrace and that we wanted to produce on our own terms. And in the beginning, that means a lot of times self-funding the projects that you want to do to tell the story the way you want to tell the story. And so having had a solid background in the community level of theater, which is so embracing and so encouraging, and everybody in a community theater environment gives of themselves. They give of their time. Yeah. They give a lot of time and oftentimes of their own money, which we found ourselves doing to produce theater. And so we thought, hey, why don't we just do it under our own brand?
It's like Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Let's just put on a show.
Why not?
Let's do it.
Why not? Let's do it, and let's answer to ourselves about it. And there are no higher standards than the ones that we hold each other to. Nobody can hold me to a higher standard than I hold myself, or that I reflect in how Trevor, perceives the theater and what he values and what he, what his standards are. And I put that on myself. I share that with him.
Well, your shows are always like really high quality shows.
They have to be.
I love it. Have you always been at the Match, or did you start at other places?
Dirt Dogs has produced all of our shows at the Match to this point. And what we find at the Match is that it gives us the flexibility to do the quality of production, and that's not to say that we wouldn't or couldn't, produce as high a quality theater in other spaces, but based on the time frame that we have, typically we move into the Match on a Monday morning and we open on Friday night, and we're only able to do that because of the standard production value that the Match has to offer in terms of lighting and sound and video and things like that. It facilitates the production quality that we're looking for. If we had to move in and bring in our own lighting and sound and video, it would require more time. That's really about it. But the Match is also just such an inviting space. It's a space that's dedicated to, in fact, their whole reason for being is to enable companies like ours that don't have a permanent home. So it's been a very beneficial relationship back and forth.
Well, it's a beautiful space, and I remember seeing it when I came back. And I just, the location is optimal. It's easy to get to. It's beautiful, and I think it really does help you with your branding. It's like, we're at the Match, and that brings you to a different level.
Indeed.
So talk about the new role for dear Curtis Barber.
Woohoo!
Curtis, what's
aboard,
going
Curtis.
on with you, dear?
Well, if I may intro, Mr. Curtis, if I may. So I've been flirting with Curtis for a while.
Well, he's very
Haven't we all,
handsome,
though?
So.
Haven't we all?
That's right.
And so Curtis was truly a sounding board for me in putting together this fourth season. And while he may or may not have known it, it was kind of his audition, if you will. So I had submitted to him the plays I was thinking about for this season. And I said, I need feedback. I need a sounding board. I need something outside of myself and to run these ideas by and discuss and look at the pros and the cons and the benefits and of producing each of the plays that I had in mind for this season. And so I gave them all to Curtis, and he read them all, and through the high technology of Facebook Messenger, we had the most beautiful discussions about these plays, usually
at 1 a.m.
midnight or later.
No, I'd
midnight,
long
1
fallen
o'clock,
asleep,
2
since
o'clock,
fallen
3
asleep.
o'clock in the morning. And
Yeah, he's good like that. Because
Oh, yeah.
I texted him a couple of times, and it was like midnight, right back.
Excellent like that. And so he kind of unofficially became my sounding board for the plays I had on tap for the fourth season, because it's good. it's really good to have another creative mind in the space with you to say yes, no, this is the beautiful thing about this play. These are the challenges you're going to have. This is, so it was true and honest feedback that comes from a very supportive place within. And I said, in any other life we might be married, so let's go ahead and go for it.
Yeah.
Well, and what I get from Curtis is that he, and I'm going to speak to you in the third person, or
Sure.
I don't know what you call that, but while you're here in the room, but to say that he wouldn't dissuade you if you wanted to do it. He would just say, here are your challenges. If you want to do that play, then just know this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, here are your pitfalls, and here is how I'm going to support you in this endeavor to do this.
And I think that what Malinda and Trevor have really brought home about the brand of Dirt Dogs is that they don't give a message to audiences. They want audiences to think. They want to facilitate the conversation. And so my approach to helping out is to elevate and facilitate that conversation in whatever topic we're doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, and that leads us to talk about this production of White Guy on the Bus.
Yes.
And with Ron Jones.
Which brings us to one and only Mr. Ron Jones.
Yes.
Yes.
And so this play, Ron, is quite the play that does create, and I can't say any spoilers because, we really can't really talk about the play, but
right. We can talk about the themes of the play.
We can talk about the themes of the play, but in going with what you were saying, Curtis, is that this is a play that really does make you think. And I imagine that everybody who leaves this play is going to be talking about it with whoever they're with and saying, well, what did you think about that? What did you think about this? And that's exciting theater. I wish my friend James was here from New York so that he could,
Just
come see it with me.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's one of those great plays.
It is.
So, Ron, talk to me about them approaching you and why you wanted to join this crazy team.
Well, I have seen several of their productions, and they were all top-notch, and I enjoyed them very much. And I am attracted to talent. I've always been attracted to talent in individuals and in theater companies. And when I see a place that I'd like to work with, I say, I'd like to work with you.
He does, yes.
Yeah, you raise your hand.
Yeah, because you can't expect them to call you. You have to call them.
Right, yeah.
So that was why, but at that time I only knew Trevor and Malinda a little bit through passing, because I met them at their productions and, little other places like that. And I had no idea what wonderful people they were.
Yeah.
Until I started working with them.
Yeah.
And they both have hearts of gold.
Yes.
And they are so generous and so loving and so warm and so supportive. I mean, there was never a negative exchange of any kind throughout the entire rehearsal process. And I'll be very honest with you. When I work with a theater company, I like to feel appreciated. I like for people to say thank you. And that doesn't happen in all theater companies. Believe me, it doesn't happen. So that really turned me on to this group. And so then Malinda came to me with this play, and I didn't know it, which was unusual for me because I read voraciously plays. But that was one of the good things about the play, that I didn't know it. So I read it, and Malinda had given me a little background on it, or I think she was trying to warn me.
Yes,
Yeah.
You are correct.
You're right.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
About what was to come. And the first time I read it, I think I've said this before, I didn't really know what to think of it. It was
Because it's a little provocative. I can say that.
Yeah.
I can say
Very
that.
provocative.
It is indeed, yes.
It's
Hard-hitting.
It's very provocative, and it's very complex.
Extremely.
And so I said, well, that's the reason to do it.
Sure.
That's the reason to be involved with it, because it will be a challenge for you.
Right. And so there are some sensitive areas of the play. And so how did you think about them, and how did you, work with that?
I have really a very simplistic answer to that. There are so many issues in this play. So many. Racial, non-racial. And when I first began working on it, and we were talking about the play, we were doing table work, we were talking about the play, and we talked about the play the whole rehearsal process. I came to the decision that we were never going to be able to decide on what was right and what was wrong. We're never going to come to
a consensus
Or resolve
or a
that.
resolution
Right.
for all those things. So I thought, okay, here's what we have to do. What we have to do is we have to give the actors freedom to be these people and to tell their truth.
And to say the lines that the playwright wrote.
Right, that's right. And there were 5 people in this play, and there were 5 stories in this play. Mm-hmm. And we had to make sure that each one of those stories was told in the most accurate way possible. And then again, I have to go back to the word truth. You always strive for truth in theater. That's what you want. You want it to be like life. But this was even more so. We needed to hear the truth of these people. And then the way the conflict with each other was, the drama and the piece. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. And Malinda was invaluable. She had so many wonderful ideas that she shared with me and that I welcomed because she was so fabulous with them. I'm not a director who's insecure about things like that, mm-hmm. and I love to have ideas from other people, and I think almost 99% of the time we agreed with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's very smart, and she's such
she
a good
is.
actor. And she's I love to think like you're a fine tuner.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're so into your costumes and your set decorations and everything. Is like, what else? What do I need? Earrings. What
Mm-hmm.
you put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Sure.
that's a beautiful eye that you have for structure and composition, and
Absolutely.
that can apply also to productions.
Absolutely. I'm not a heavy hands-on director. I never really have been. I prefer to direct with a lighter touch. I prefer actors to be able to express themselves, because especially with the cast that we had for this show, we had 5 very talented actors, and I didn't need to tell them everything they needed to do. They came
But a
up
good
with that on their own.
a good director will steer you
That's
and
right.
help you
Yeah.
get to the place where you're telling the story truthfully.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank you so much. It was a really great production. I'm not a reviewer, but I can't be biased. I love this production, and I think you guys have a great show. And I really want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit with me and do my podcast thing. I really do
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Ms.
Thank
Melody
you.
Gray.
So, Trevor, can you tell us how many more productions, how many shows are left?
Absolutely. So we just opened tonight. It's August 23rd. We run through September 7th. The run goes tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. Sunday's at 2. And then next week we're on at Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Special Labor Day performance. Everybody's off work, so you got nothing else to do, you might as well, enjoy your late sleep and eat some barbecue and then come see our show.
In this nice, cool theater.
That's right, yeah. And then we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday through September 7th.
And I'll just add to that, at Dirt Dogs Theater, we do believe that our shows should be accessible to everyone who wants to see them. And so our Sunday matinees are now and have always been pay what you can.
Wonderful.
And our Monday nights are industry night, which is also pay what you can.
But you don't have to be in the industry to get that industry night discount.
No, absolutely not. So, those are opportunities, 3 opportunities within the run of each performance that allows for everyone to come and see the play.
There's no reason why you can't come see this play,
absolutely
listeners.
not. Pay what you can be $1. It could be $100. If it's $100, then you help 3 other people see theater in the Houston community. So we just want to make sure that our art is accessible to everyone who would like to see it, view it, talk about it.
I love it.
Pass it on. So
That's
yes.
wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And come see White Guy on the Bus. Thank
Please.
you.
Yes, thank you.